Hi, my name is Stephen Rafferty. You're watching These Are Questions. This is the interview show where I ask people questions about things, life, and such not. And today is a very special episode because I get to interview a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. We've worked together on so many projects in the past, and we're continuing to work on projects. He's a talented videographer. He's a great video production guy. He goes as his original name as Randy. That's his name, but he goes by the moniker of Flippy. So please welcome Flippy from Flippy Media.
Thank you, my friend. Love that intro.
I'm glad. I didn't want to mess up the intro. I wanted to make sure it was done the Raf way and the These Are Questions way. So welcome.
I'm glad to be here, man. I'm excited. I've been watching These Are Questions, the previous seasons. And I'm like, you know what? That's a really cool, exciting way to get to know your peers and what's really going on in their lives. So I applaud you for being consistent and being obedient and doing what you have to do for your community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say that. And I'm glad you were able to watch previous episodes and you get the vibe of what we're kind of going for this show. It's a fun, lighthearted show for the most part. And I just ask people stupid questions. So, that's what These Are Questions is all about. But you're in the hot seat today because I'm going to ask you a series of questions going to be based around your career and aspirations, along with a mixture of questions that are borderline idiotic and, well, randomly stupid. Flippy, do you accept those terms?
Terms accepted.
Okay, all right, awesome. So, Flippy, are you ready?
Ready as can be.
Okay, internet/listeners, are you ready? I'm just gonna add the sound effect. Well, if I don't forget to add the sound effect at 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm editing all the episodes, then I'll add it there, and then they could be like the crowd noise there. We'll see. We'll find out. Only one way to find out if I did it or not. So, with that in mind, let's officially begin our interview. So thank you so much for being a part of These Are Questions and watching previous episodes and just being a part of the show. I really do appreciate it. I've had the great pleasure to work with you on a bunch of different video productions in the past. Usually we're tag teaming as either you as a videographer and me as a photographer or vice versa. And we get to work on a lot of creative collaborative projects, which is really cool. I would like for you to formally introduce yourself to our audience or viewers or listeners viewing These Are Questions and explain your story on how you got into media and video production.
It's a good one. Well, like Rap said, my name is Randy. With Flippy Media, I'm part of the Flippy Media team. Of course, I don't like to say founder, this and that. That's not what it is. Flippy Media creators is I like to call it like this utopia where we come together and we're able to pull from each other. So like with you and I, when I need you, you come through, and when you need me, I come through, and this is what the creators is all about. And Flippy Media got started early in the probably right before the pandemic. A lot of my photographer friends, they're like, "Oh, so you're a pandemic baby?" That's when the things all started. They're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I started curating the craft around that time," but really came from necessity. I needed a way to produce and create content, and for some reason or another, I couldn't find the right person. So at that time, I just started researching. Started off with a phone, right? I said, you know what? What's I wanted to go in hands deep, and I was like, let me just spend $2,000 on the camera, and I'll do it. And then something hit me like, man, then I YouTubed, how can I get professional quality footage with an iPhone? And I started YouTubing that. It told me, oh, got to use a gimbal and get a lens. So I did that. I ended up, spending about close to $300 on a gimbal and a lens. And from there, just started kicking off. I went to all my friends. I'm like, hey, man, let me shoot a video for free. And I started figuring out what's frame rates, what's ISO, what's shutter speed. And, my favorite frame rate to use is 120 because I'm able to slow it down and manipulate it how I need to. And I started learning what I liked, right? Because everyone's different. People love shooting at 60 or 30, and I love shooting at 120. And I found myself feeling kind of weird because I'm like, everybody else is shooting it different. But that's just the way that I was able to work at my particular craft skill and pace. So Flippy Media got started from that time. And ever since then, man, I started making great connections, great people, and just started doing videos for free. That's how it really started. And people started retagging, and to the point where people was trying to figure out who am I, and started hiring me for the same thing I was doing free.
Well, that's a great backstory there, and it kind of gives like the loaded kind of metaphysical question of like, who is Flippy? What does he do? You know? But I can relate to that because I had a similar experience how I started into the video production side. I am a performer and an entertainer, but I started as a video editor. And same thing, like I didn't know anything about cameras and lenses and how to use it, XYZ. And I was just like, okay, how do I use it on my phone? Or what kind of cheapest camera I can get? What's the cheapest software I can get to learn everything? And I went out and I started shooting for free. You know, I started doing photos and videos for free, and then performances for free. And then over time, you build up your skill set, and you work on different projects, and then opportunities come arise, which is great. With photos and videos and those kind of projects, there, you could really encapsulate like what you do behind the scenes in your work. And I've seen a lot of your work. Obviously, you work together on stuff, but like you have a unique style, and like you mentioned that you said you shot at 120 typically when you do your videos, and a lot of videographers shoot 30, 60, whatever. They shoot different stuff. It's usually the norm, but don't stop that. That's your unique kind of niche in there. That's what makes you stand out. So it's like you have to learn the terms of videography, photography, and like the technical side and know what it is, but then you need to learn how to break that and then make your own style and keep that own style, because that's what makes you stand out and that's what gives you creative opportunities.
Exactly. That's exactly my thought process behind that. And you start to feel a little bit like an outside, like, am I doing this wrong? But just like you said, that's what makes you different. So it worked out great.
Absolutely did there. And keeping the line of like videography and video production, you've worked on a bunch of different projects. What's a common misconception that people believe about you when creating and editing projects? Like, what's the thing where it's like, yes, I'm a videographer, but like that's not exactly what I do. Where did you get that kind of logic?
That's an interesting question. A misconception of mine is that just like all of us, and you just mentioned like you're a performer, an entertainer,
Yeah.
and I know you as the great photographer you are, because when I need great pictures, I call you. I'm a videographer, but I'm not that great at pictures, and I'm okay with that. But when I do, I call you. But you just told me you're an entertainer, so you're not just a great photographer, as I was understanding. And just like that, I'm not only a videographer. I also partake in music. That's also how it started. I was doing music, and I'm like, I need somebody to shoot video for me. And I didn't have it. I didn't find anybody. And then I went to that creative space. But I love it because to me, it's not like just a whole different branch of a of a career path or anything. It's all in one bubble of creativity. And that's what gets me excited about creating videos. It's just like creating music. When I was editing music, I copy and paste different sounds into the Pro Tools, and I put it here, I put this effect. It's same as video. I copy and paste different clips, add different effects, and speed it up here, slow it down there, and it all comes together. So a misconception I would say is that I'm just a videographer, when in reality, I do music. I do other vehicles of creativity that kind of pushes me.
That's see, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know you did music. See what I mean? Like I only knew you as like a talented video production guy and an amazing videographer. I didn't know that part. See, we learned something new today here on These Are Questions.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
now
That's
I got
right. That's right.
now I got to listen to your music now. Now you got to send me some tracks. You got to send me some samples here.
I will. And the thing is also, I keep it completely separate. Like I keep Flippy Media with Flippy Media. And then I keep Randy Rumble with Randy Rumble. And I live these two. And I always thought about mixing them both together. But for me, it gives me a purpose of kind of like just, targeting what I want to target. And I always know the saying, go where you're appreciated and not tolerated. So I'm being appreciated in the world of video very much. And I love it. And I say, you know what, if I'm getting favor and blessings on this side, I'm not gonna force that side onto this side, because this side is where the blessing is happening. So I just keep it separate and focus on one at a time.
I like that. I like that quote that you said. That's a really cool quote, and I like the separation. Not everything has to be all mixed up, you know. I keep my performance stuff separate, my video stuff separate. Sometimes they intertwine, but I, you know, it's its own thing, you know. And and you should never put yourself in one box, because it's good to be in different boxes sometimes, because then you don't want to put everything all in one basket. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because in case maybe the video stuff is kind of down for a minute, but you can go to the music stuff and be like, that's picking up, and then that kind of goes back with the video and vice versa, or whatever you decide to do with your life.
Exactly. And I know as a creative, you kind of feel that way too, which how can I say this? I guess everybody's different, but for me, when I stop creating completely, I get into an emotional downer. You know, there's times where I stop doing music and I stop making videos. So I stop being creative. I stopped creating something from nothing. And that made me feel, I've noticed that about myself. I felt bad. You know, I didn't feel like I was doing something to keep me progressing at something. So um, video, and every time I need to do something creative, I just go back and forth, and I use those creative juices and start working at the muse until, you know, I start being able to call the muse whenever I need to.
I like that. That could be the name of your next album, you know, Creative Muse. Ideas.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well,
If
let's
only
write
you,
that down.
yeah, if only you knew, Flippy, how many of those little notebooks I have right now, writing down different ideas. I have a book just for the live show that I'm doing right now and material. So like that hit home.
It's so funny you said that. Just about 2 weeks ago, I preached. One of my pastors was like, "Yo, Randy, I want you to talk about your books." And I preached a little 30-minute sermon
Yeah.
on how each year I get one of these moleskins.
Yeah.
Each year. And I fill them up each year. And the beginning of the year, I get a new one. And the goal is, we are right now at the half of the year. So it's kind of like halfway there. But I just write every day. I write every day. I write every day. And sometimes I'm just saying thank you for something, or sometimes I'm saying I'm praying for something, or sometimes I'm writing the plan of this Saturday today, how I have to go to the R walk. Okay, I write, okay, I'm gonna go to the R walk, I'm gonna do the interview Raf, I'm gonna do this, and I'm pretty up for a great interview, this and that, da. And bro, I fill these things up. So I just like you, have a few of them, and they're like, you know, yearly coordinated.
That's
That's
so
cool.
that's so funny, man. Like, hold on, let me just, I might as well, since I have it right here.
Look,
This is one of
oh,
many. Yeah,
okay.
I have
Oh,
it.
you like the moleskins too, right?
Yeah, they're really
Yeah,
good.
bro.
Shout out
A
to them.
quick question. I really enjoy the grids, the ones that are the grids.
Oh, okay. So mine is not gridded. Mine is just blank, because I like to create my own. So
Oh,
I
so you don't
blank.
use no lines.
I don't use no lines. No.
That's so cool.
And then I write down all my different like ideas. I can't show much because it's just for spoiler stuff, but like all
Of
my
course.
little, it's all there. You know what I mean? So I write like a bad doctor, like in terms of handwriting. So I'm all over the place. So like my ideas are just boom, write it down, and I'll
That's so
format it
cool.
later.
That's so cool, bro. I didn't, you know what? I didn't think you have no lines, but that makes all the sense, because you could create your own sections in each part, and just, I love it. I love it.
I'm a no line kind of guy. That's how it goes.
That's right, man. Don't get boxed in.
Don't get boxed in. Yeah, there you go. Let me ask you my next question here. Have you ever drove in a hot rod car before?
Never.
Never? Would you ever want to?
Absolutely. I
Okay.
can't. I want a hot rod. Yeah, yeah,
Ooh, okay,
yeah.
okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
And an American muscle car. Like my dream car is like a Charger 1967. You know.
Oh, okay, Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's straight muscle. You know, I mean, they say they nowadays they drive terrible. They're gas killers, but I don't know, man. There's something about just driving that good old school that doesn't matter what year you in. It looks amazing.
It looks cool. It feels cool. It feels cool when you're in one of them. I've never been in that particular car, but I've been in some retro cars, and I've taken shots for retro cars and like car shows and stuff. And I always get like, I'm not the biggest car guy in the world, but when I see retro stuff, I'm just like, this is so cool. Like, why aren't people driving this more? Like, I don't want the modern car. Like, it looks so different.
Timeless. It's so timeless, bro. So
It
timeless.
it is. It is just like you. You're timeless, my friend.
Good segue. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it.
It doesn't lead to my next question, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Flippy, can you name me the goofiest character you know of?
It's gonna sound really generic, but I'm gonna go with Goofy.
I was kind of low key. I'm like, I wonder what he's gonna say. It's probably gonna be Goofy. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't get him out of my head. Big floppy ears, clumsy. Like he's goofy. He's the goofiest. Yeah.
if his name is Goofy, then by default, Goofy is the character you know, right?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. My next question is something that I'm asking every single guest here on These Are Questions Season 6. And I just want you to pick one. Choose a team. Team Alpha or Team Omega? Don't think too hard on this.
I'm gonna go with Team Omega.
Omega, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any reason? Or you just like, I like the name Omega, sounds cool.
No, I believe Omega. I guess it's just the this new culture terminology and what people refer to as alpha.
That's true. Okay.
So every alpha thinks he's the pack. The leader of the pack, and a wolf pack doesn't work well without everybody knowing their positions. Now, if we're all alphas, we're not gonna fall in our positions. So I guess I'll go with Omega.
I like that. I like that. The only wolf pack I know is the 1998 NWO wolf pack. If you're a wrestling fan, if you're there you go. If you're not, if at least you're a fan on there. For those that are not, just look up. I believe it was Kendall Jenner that wore one of the shirts, one of the wolf pack shirts. Had like a fashion show. I think it was like the New York Fashion Week, one of the fashion shows. So it's like amazing. She's part of the wolf pack.
Bro, I love the NWO. Me and my brother grew up on that, so it was amazing.
Same here. I have to find it, but I have a 1997 NWO black and white shirt. So yeah.
Who was your favorite NWO team?
Team. Well,
Remember.
Well, member. I mean, the coolest one was always Scott Hall. So it was. I always remember there was an episode where they're talking in the ring, whatever, and a fan froze like a soda or something, right? Like a drink, froze it on his face, like point blank, and instead of like reacting like upset or whatever, he just waves back his hair and he's just like boom, and I'm like, this is the coolest dude. Like no phase, no nothing. He's just like, okay, fine, I'm gonna make in this moment, man.
Yeah. That's cool.
He was cool, man. Rest in peace, Mr. Scott Hall. So hey,
yeah, good times.
Good times. NWO segue, moving on. With the Alpha Omega, I want you to remember that for the end of our season because it's going to play a very important role. So just remember that for later.
Will do.
Okay. Cool. Let me ask you, Flippy, can you kick a field goal?
I like to think I can.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever tried?
Never tried.
Okay, I have. It's one of the hardest things you can do. It is
really,
it's so hard. But it looks so easy. It looks like it's nothing.
It does. I punt, right? We all punt because we've all grabbed the football and just kicked it. So
sure, yeah, but not precision, like kicking it up to make a field goal. Like that is so hard. When I used to train for football, I played in football, but then I was also a manager. I was a manager / like kind of pseudo coach, and I would train with the kickers. And I tried to become a kicker, but then like I was like, this is so technical and so hard, and like if you kick it a certain way, it can make all the difference. So like there's like a science to it. One of the hardest things I've ever done. It was trying to kick field goals. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It sounds easy, but now I'm thinking about it. If they're pros and they miss often, I can only imagine myself.
Yeah, for real. It's like golf. It's like the sport. Like everyone thinks golf is so easy, but it's so hard. It's so hard. Yeah, it's incredibly hard.
I always call golf the easiest, hardest sport. I play golf. I got my golf clubs and I play with friends.
Nice.
And
Same here.
bro, it's oh really? You
Yeah.
play?
Hmm.
Oh man, we gotta go play sometime. We gotta
Yeah.
hit a 18 hole one
Yeah.
time.
I'm not good at it, but I can play it.
Same here, I'm not great, but I grew up playing baseball from H5 all the way to varsity.
Okay.
So
Nice.
my hand-eye coordination, I believe, is okay. So that way I'm a little good, but not still. There's no way. It's no golf is just so hard, bro.
Yeah. And it looks so easy, but then when you swing, man, it's all about precision and like how you hit that ball, and like you're trying to deck it, like you have to hit it a certain way. It's so challenging.
Form is so important in golf more than
Yep.
any other sport.
Yep.
You know, which is interesting.
It is, and like I said, people don't think about that. So, moral of the story: go play some golf after this interview. After you're done filming today, go play some golf. Play like 9 holes, or
I
18
like
holes
it.
if you have time. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, easy now.
um, Let me ask you: can you break down the process of creating and producing a video?
Yes. Um, and like everything else, I do it backwards, bro. I do it completely backwards. I'm so different with my theories. And sometimes I think traditional is not always right for you. Only because it's traditional way of doing things doesn't mean it's okay for you. Like for these book, for example, I have so many of them, but I've never started them from left to right. I always start at the end. Every
Mm.
book I've ever, when I start writing, I start in the last page and I work my way this way. Because for me, it stops the feeling of intimidation. Like seeing the first blank page, and I'm like, oh, I gotta fill all this up. Oh my goodness. And then if I start at the last page and just focus on the last page, I know that I just have to focus on one page. And then the next day I'll work my way forward as opposed to the traditional way, which is front to back. I'll work from back to front. But with filmmaking, it's somewhat similar that I record. Sometimes I record more than I need to. I know other videographers that they're exceptional with their shots. They get get that one shot and they move on to the next. Like for example, on Wednesday I had a shoot for spoiler alert for Tiesto Cafe in Fort Lauderdale for their whole menu, and I go there to shoot photography for food, and really the shoot should only be like 60 photos. I end up shooting close to 1,000.
A
I ended up shooting
thousand. Woo!
1,000. It ended up being when I edited everything, when I pulled everything, it ended up being 800. And that's not even the sum that I took with my phone because I'm like, man, if this photo on the Sony doesn't come up good, maybe I always got, a little something on my phone that I know will be focused. So first thing for I shoot more than I need to. Then I come home, I edit. And when I edit, most people choose the music first. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I do choose the music first, but most of the times I don't. I just start editing and seeing what looks good. Okay, that looks good. This could chop here, and I listen to it completely silence because when I used to um work with music, and me and my friends used to watch videos on mute because when you watch a music video on mute, you're looking at what the video is. The song is completely relevant. You're watching a video on mute and you see different things. You're like, wow, that looks bad. That looks like a double messaging. Look, it looks weird. So I do a complete video on mute, and then I start searching for a sound that fits the vibe that I just saw. And I get a song. Sometimes, like I said, the muse works with you. I call it a muse, but really I call it the blessing of the Holy Spirit or something, because I put the music in sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes put the music in. And all of a sudden, right when the music breaks, that's when the video transitions. And it just goes on beat. I'm like, yo, this goes perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Score, let's go. And I edit it out, and I just make a quick tweaks here and there, and it fit perfect. And I think that's my way of doing it, which is completely untraditional, but it works for me. And and I think as I progress in this field, I will I will start I don't want to say fixing. I will start altering different ways that I do things to better fit me.
I That's really cool to break down your process there because we're a bit similar. Especially with the music. I like to beat my stuff with music. When I'm working on my edits. I usually don't pick music until the very end, but sometimes I do, first things first. It depends on what I'm filming. And then definitely altering your style is going to be a big thing, especially as you're getting more into your field. I don't want to say I'm the more experienced just because everyone's different, but I've been in it a little longer. And from that perspective, I know like when doing videos, if you ask me when I started videos year one to like year like 10, very different and how I work and how I do my stuff. So naturally, there's going to be a shift and a stylistic change in order to better yourself and also learn from the experiences that you have when you're working on projects. So you're going to evolve. It's going to naturally happen.
I agree. I agree. And just like you said, learn from the experience. And also when you work with someone else, you look how they did it, you're like, oh, that could probably work for me. And then you just start, that's why it's so cool to collab. And even when I collab with you, I noticed how, even when we shot the fashion show and you had a
Yeah.
certain angle. So every time I see a photo, I know, oh, that came from Raf angle. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I like that angle. I'm gonna try that angle next time I'm just out and about. I'm gonna purposely go for that angle, which is the down up vibe, right when they're at the tip of the spear, that they just look like they're looking over a mountain,
Mm-hmm.
and
It gives
it's
them
just
like a good depth, like they look larger than life.
correct. They look larger than life. Yeah, yeah. And I saw them. I'm like, you know what? I'll try that. And the way I work, bro, is everything I like. I take from other people, man. Like that's why I'm so big on compliments. I'm always giving compliments because it's like we're all here to share and share life and share this experience. That if even if I like a way someone walks, I'm like, man, I like how he walks like that. I'm like, let me try that. And just like video, I like how he used that ND filter. Let me try that, And if it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me. But overall, I like trying new things.
And that's great. That's great to have that because a lot of people will get not stuck, but they get set in ways sometimes. But if you set your mindset to where like I'm always trying new things, you're gonna adapt and get better, and then you'll learn what works, what doesn't, and you're on top of new things that are forming.
Correct,
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
sometimes the only way to find those new things, which I think is the harder part people don't talk about. How do you find the new things? You know,
yeah,
do you make them up? Do you work with other people to see what I'm saying? So it depends. So I
it
like working with other people.
It really does. It really depends on what you're trying to do and how you going about with it. And especially if you're in creative endeavors, like there's no one size fits all. Everyone has their own different story of how they got to XYZ, and whatever they got into made sense for them. So, it,
Correct.
it goes
Makes
from
sense for them.
hmm It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And you've given me a lot of key advice for indirectly throughout this interview. And normally when we do these are questions, I like to ask guests, pieces of advice about how they got through their careers and what they're trying to do. And I'm going to do the same for you specifically. What's a great piece of advice you can give for someone who wants to start professionally creating videos?
I think a great piece of advice I could give them is don't worry too much about the gear. Start with what you have, and if you have a phone, just start with the phone, but figure out how to make it the best with what you have. And you always talk say that too. It's not about, I forget your exact quote. It's not about your gear. It's what you can do with it. It's somewhere around that line. But
Yeah,
I think I butchered it, but
you're
that's
good.
something,
Um,
that's something you tell me all the time.
Yeah, that's very nice of you to bring up that quote. The exact quote is, "It's not about the tools that you have; it's the person using the tools."
That's it. That's
Mm-hmm,
it. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So that's for me. That's a key advice. And right now, I'm in this. I'm also in this little mince cloud of I need new gear. Get gear happy. I started messing around with new drones, but I want a new camera and this and that. But you have to stay busy, and in order to stay busy, you have to work with what you have, for sure.
Very true, very true. And It's good to get good gear. Obviously, as you're building up, you're gonna get that. It comes back again. It comes back naturally. But especially when you're starting, like, get something, anything, but don't kill yourself in the bank. Just get something that works, that you can learn from, build off that, learn your style, and then you can start playing around and getting stuff, and then going into it. But you don't need a $10,000 camera and like a $15,000 lens and all these fancy equipment. You're not going to impress me if you don't know how to use it. So
Let me tell you, man, the more expensive gear you have, the more complicated it is.
that's
When you
true.
have just your iPhone, you don't even have to worry about focus. Everything's gonna be in focus. When you start picking up a camera like the XF6 or the XF3, and you start messing with these cameras, you have to tweak every focus, every lighting, every shutter to make it for just that one shot. And then when you go to another environment, you have to tweak it again, this and that. So it's complicated using expensive gear. But if you can do it, do it. But I think for someone getting started, um, figure out a way, do research how to get the best quality with what you have. If it's a phone, do it with your phone. And just like I did, I it was a YouTube video. I saw one YouTube video saying how he shot a music video with an iPhone, and he did tweak it. Like he got an app that manipulates his camera, so he didn't use the iPhone camera. He got an app. I got that app. He got a lens that costs $100. I got that lens. He got a gimbal to give it a perfect stabilization. Got that. And bro, if you know how to edit, man, that's another thing I think you could relate to. Editing is so huge, bro. Editing. Because if you have a bad shot, you can make it look great with edit effects.
Mhm. I agree with you on that. Editing is a great tool, but my take on editing is that editing should be an enhancement, not a fixer. Because if you're shooting bad from your production side and your production's rough, you can only do so much in post. And the worst advice is like, oh, I can fix it in post. I can fix it in post. You don't know until you actually open it up and it's like, oh damn, I can't fix this in post. This is not working. What the So make sure your shots, whether it's photos or videos, make sure your coverage is as strong as possible. So then when you go into the edits, you can enhance it to make it next level.
I agree, bro. That's a very good key. And I've done that too. I'm guilty. I'm like, I got my shot. I'll stabilize it in post, bro. The stabilization does nothing. And then I'm stuck with it, and this and that. And so you're absolutely right. If you have a good shot that could live on its own, use it. If you have to edit it and make it great, use it. But don't count on editing because it will backfire.
Very true. See, collaborative advice here on These Are Questions. See, it's not all about stupid questions. We have some insights too. So this has been a great, wonderful interview, and I'm glad we were able to spend some time. And I'm looking forward to continually working with you on projects and just seeing you succeed in your videography professional career. I just have one more question to ask you here on These Are Questions, and it's something I would like for you to do. Flippy, can you create a sound effect for me?
A sound effect,
Yeah.
like an onomatopoeia or
Any,
something.
yeah, it could be onomatopoeia. It could be a beatbox beat. I don't know. I just need a sound effect just to close off our interview here on These Are Questions.
Splash.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
it.
Close interview. Done. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
But with that, now we officially end our These Are Questions interview. Flippy, it's an awesome time speaking with you. I really do appreciate it. But now the floor is yours. Anything you want to talk about, anything you want to do, anything you want to say before we cap off this interview for These Are Questions, the internet video floor is yours.
I like to say we all have things that we want to do, things that we want to, that we're aspiring to complete, goals that we want to meet and achieve. And just like me, Raph, I know you have those goals as well, those people that are out there watching. And I think that when we focus too much on the goal, we get discouraged because it seems, like you said earlier, bigger than life. You're like, oh, Jesus, why do I do this? But I believe that once you look at the little steps, they're very, very possible. Just like myself, I want to branch into creating movies and documentaries and other things of that nature. And when I think about creating an entire movie, from creating plots, writing scripts, I think, how am I going to do that? But when you break down the process, anything is possible. And so if you have a big goal that seems too big to achieve, just know that there are little steps within that goal that are easy to achieve.
Wise advice there by the man who calls himself Flippy. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. And like, you're gonna make that movie now, and now it's manifesting. Like, now a movie's coming. I don't know when, but it's coming now. It's coming. It's coming. I don't know what kind of movie, but it's gonna be a good movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of movie either, but I do have a feeling that it's gonna be a production that comes from the heart. So it won't be a bad one when it comes from the heart. So that's one of my quotes: create from the heart and never be wrong.
That could be the tagline for the movie.
Mm. Give me so many keys, man. I gotta write this down now.
You can write it down, but don't worry, it's filmed on These Are Questions. So there's a live timestamp. what I just said, what you just said. So we're good.
Exactly. So, thank you, Raph. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate what you do. Like I said in the beginning, I don't want to regurgitate what I just said, but I do want to give you your flowers. And it's from just your consistent on you being online and things that you do. It almost seems like you're kind of busy, from everything you have going on. But it goes to show that when you want to do something, you find the time and get it done. So from These Are Questions, from your business that you have, from the cheese cards and all that cool stuff. I see you at the art walk filming. I bump into you different places filming. And then when we film, I get home tired. And on the next day, you're posting what we just filmed together. I'm like, how did he have time to do this? It's incredible. So, man, I thank you for being obedient, bro, and staying down for the cause for our community of creators.
Thank you. That's very nice of you, and I really do appreciate that on a genuine point of view. That means a lot. I work hard. I've been running for this for a long time, and I love doing what I do creatively and making all these projects. But I get a really big kick helping others getting their creative endeavors and getting their creative ideas on the ground running. And if I'm able to do that and showcase what I can, then like mission's accomplished there. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Shout out to the Rat fam.
Thank you. For those that are watching and listening to These Are Questions, I greatly appreciate you all. Whether you're watching on my YouTube channel at Stephen Rafferty, or watching, or listening to my various podcast feeds, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, just know I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And just all I have to say as we're finishing off These Are Questions is that you have been watching / listening to These Are Questions. Good night, everyone. Ooh, that was so cool. That was synced.
Yeah, bro. Look at you, man. That was perfect outro right there, dude.